Inspired to help young children, one woman spent a decade earning her doctorate in psychology. What she got was a PhD in debt.
What I didn't know then is that 17 years later, I would be over $420,000 in debt and struggling to make a living.
Debt is the #1 issue.
Too many patients, but not enough pay. That raises some very tough questions.
How are you guys functioning? How are you helping your patients?
My name is Nasir, aka BRIC.
Along with Angel and Mark, these are the B-Boy Rebels, doing drops, kicks, and handstands, so you'll hand over some cash. They do it to help their families get by.
Money comes and goes, especially in New York.
But they also pay it forward, helping others survive in a tough economy.
Being from the South Bronx, I actually grew up watching people make something from nothing.
Take a ride with us to see how some folks make it through another day, pushing hard to make another dollar. A basement apartment on the south side of Chicago, where a mother of 4 waits nervously for her husband to come home from his second shift job at a factory. Door opens, kisses exchanged, a can of Schlitz, and a confession. She lost her grocery store cashier job that afternoon. Then a laugh of disbelief, followed by a groan. He'd just been laid off that very night. Now the quick math on this one is 4 kids plus 0 jobs times 2 months equals beans. A whole lot of beans. Beans with ham hocks, beans with bacon, beans with beans. Beans are the reason I'm here today, because that's how my grandparents kept my mom, her brothers, and her little sister fed through the lean time. That was 1960. And nearly 60 years later, things are still pretty lean for the 43.1 million Americans living in poverty. The median household income in the United States for 2016 was $59,039. That's nearly $34,000 more than the $25,100 poverty threshold for a family of 4. Many of those families fall into another category. They are the working poor. From the doctors who diagnose and heal to the canners who collect and redeem, work matters, and so do the people who perform it. But can we make an impact beyond making a living and find balance while climbing the ladder, all the while competing against the robots who would make us obsolete? As work evolves, so should our conversation around it. Minimum wage to guaranteed minimum income, the gig economy, permalance, bartering, equal pay for equal work. So let's go in on how some of us are navigating another day, another dollar.
So I decided to become a psychologist when I was working as a writing mentor for underserved kids in the New York City school system. I saw kids who were dyslexic, who were being abused, who were just scared to speak, to express themselves. And I'm saying, my God, they're not getting the services that they need. We need psychologists involved. So I said, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go back and get my PhD in clinical psychology and I'll work with these kids. What I didn't know then is that 17 years later, I would be over $420,000 in debt and struggling to make a living.
So how does one become a psychologist? This is a very long process. The first thing would be that you would need to get an undergraduate degree or an equivalent of that. And then you have to get your doctorate from an accredited program. In your 4th year, you will apply for your internship. An internship is a full-time position. Then you need to get postdoctoral hours. In New York State, you need to get 1,750 supervised postdoctoral hours. Once you've submitted all the paperwork and all the fees, then you can get licensed.
Becoming a licensed psychologist takes 10 years or more of education and training. It's not just a degree in learning how to say to somebody, how do you feel? When I decided to go back to school for my PhD in clinical psychology, I had to get research experience. I had to get clinical experience. And because of my own learning disabilities, I had to record every one of my classes, which I would then transcribe and then study from that. So I didn't have time to work, so I was taking out loans to live. The unfortunate part was that I got sick. And I was not able to do anything but go to doctors repeatedly. I was really struggling. I had to pay $3,500 while not taking classes just to keep my status open in the school. And as a result of that, put me in tremendous debt.
There are many, many challenges to being an early career psychologist. Debt is the #1 issue. Graduate student debt for PhDs is around $75,000, and for PsyDs it's getting closer to $125,000, which will only be accruing in interest as you move forward in your career.
Many of these programs are demanding, and you're a full-time student, and if you're not working, you have to take additional loans to cover any gap in order to survive.
You could easily graduate from an accredited, high-quality program and have $250,000 in debt. And because of that, it can really completely disrupt your plans to buy a house, have children, have a family.
When my health improved and I was able to go back to work, I got a job at a community mental health center, and that's where I did my internship and my postdoc hours. You know, the clinic provides valuable services to populations that are high risk and low income. Unfortunately, when a client misses an appointment, insurance companies don't pay.
So generally speaking, in private practice, there is the idea of if you don't show up to your scheduled appointment and you don't let me know within 24 hours, you will still be billed. However, in the clinic, it doesn't work that way. I can come in for 8 hours and get paid nothing for the day, and that's really frustrating. When I talk to other colleagues who work in other places and I say, yeah, I see 50 people, some of my coworkers see 80, they give me this look of shock, like, what? How is that possible? How are you guys functioning? How are you helping your patients? And I have the same questions. So it's a very difficult balance of giving care while at the same time being able to make enough money to live. And the reason why I chose to work at this clinic is because I am working towards my licensure, and if word were to get out that I question policies or how different practices are done, I don't know if that could jeopardize my job at the clinic. I'm not sure if it's a risk that I'm willing to take.
I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. My focus is on adolescents with suicidal ideation and trauma and abuse histories. I decided that I wanted to be the best therapist that I could be for my patients because I felt that the kids that I worked with deserved the best. And if I wasn't going to get the highest degree, they weren't going to get the best. So I decided to get my doctorate, and while I was doing that, my husband and I got pregnant. And I had my first daughter on my first day of grad school. Then the internship process, they made me apply to 25 different places. It cost me like $3,000 that I didn't have. And so we had to pick up and move all the way to Orange County. One of my fellow interns said she didn't have enough money to eat. And I'll never forget my supervisor said, well, you could apply for food stamps because here you probably make little enough. I was still taking out too many loans and leaning on my husband's income. Then I got my postdoc, so then I had to move again. More money, more loans. Kids had to start a new school, so my poor oldest daughter has been to a new daycare every year for life. And I feel guilty because that's all because of something I wanted. When I got my job out here, that's when my new boss started sexually harassing me, staring down my shirt, and at one point he cornered me in an office and shoved me and threatened to hurt me. And when I told HR about that, they told me I just thought he shoved me. So people get away with treating us this way.
For a field that is about teaching people how not to be abused, it's really abusive. And when I have a coworker come up to me and ask to borrow money because they need to buy a sandwich to eat because they haven't gotten paid, that's pretty sad.
I regret becoming a psychologist depending on the day. I could be doing something else for like a very similar amount of money with no amount of loans and without the heartache and the stress and the abuse. Nobody calls me doctor or anything. I don't see the point in having this degree anymore. My dream used to be that I was going to offer pro bono therapy to these kids with trauma. And what makes me the most upset is that I have to charge so much. I can't afford to do what I set out to do.
The people who make the laws are either not paying attention to this or don't think it's a big deal because people aren't standing up and saying this is a problem.
Everything that we do is defined by laws about how psychologists can practice and how our funding goes. And yet we're not really trained about how can we advocate with our legislators for the best interests of people that would like to have our mental health services and for ourselves and our profession.
Have a good one. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
There's a part of me that says, well, leave this career. This is ridiculous. But when I see change in people, when I see that what I'm doing with somebody is making a difference in their lives, I keep showing up. I keep showing up.
If I come in with this, does it give me the same money as this?
All facet.
5 and
All
5.
facet. Now this is a serious thing. I mean, you got people here that make hundreds of dollars in a day. I would say that the majority of people who do this, right, they're doing it to either supplement their income or this is their income. Yeah. And with this income, they're able to pay rent, buy food, do all the other things that everybody else does, except they come out here and get it out the street. One day I'm coming out the house, a few months after I walked away from the job, and I'm looking at all the blue bags on the sidewalk stacked, and I'm saying, what the? You know what? Let me go back upstairs and get the shopping cart.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
just that
saying, just.
So where some people saw blue bags, you saw money.
I seen, man, come on, the street was lined up.
Yeah.
When I realized that you can the amount of money you can make, right? I said, well, hey, wait a minute. I can pay my rent with this.
Yeah.
A lot of these people, they send money back home. Yeah. A lot of them really sacrifice for their children. A lot of the Chinese, the Mexicans, whoever, they sacrifice for their grandkids and stuff. Yeah. The beautiful thing about this that I like about it is that you're independent. And there's one day I was working, right, far away from here, and I realized that I was free. I'm telling you, I realized I was free, and then I said, hey, wait a minute, I'm not depressed anymore. It was an epiphany. Whoa, no doctor.
Right, you healed yourself.
Man, whatever it was, I was all right now. Starting out, I think, is the hardest for people. This is a lesson in humility. If a person is egotistical or they're full of pride, they can't do this.
Financial services and healthcare are New York State's top industries. And while Wall Street may be too big to fail, healthcare and social assistance employs more New Yorkers than any other industry. Yet the median wage for healthcare jobs in New York State falls below state averages. But not everyone is interested in a career confined to four walls. Landscape architects, surveyors, and masons have seen their ranks and median salaries rise over the last decade. For some Brooklynites, median wages aren't calculated by the year. They may very well be by the pound or by the pass of a hat.
What's up, you guys? I am Angel Sanchez, and I am the founder of the BRIC Rebels, New York City original subway dancers. I am currently employed. I do work 6 days a week at Bowder Specialty Foods, but obviously that's not enough for me and what I'm trying to do with my brand, which is the BRIC Rebels. Our dreams and hope is to one day open up the first hip-hop educational school in the Bronx that focus not only on breakdancing but also on poetry, also other aspects of hip-hop. But for the meantime, we also do perform in the subways.
Hey, here we go. Showtime, ladies and gentlemen. Showtime, time is it.
We come from the South Bronx, and obviously we are a minority, and we are built not meant to succeed. But with dance, we use it as a platform and a way to actually network and market ourselves as young men and actually young entrepreneurs and visionaries that we are meant to be.
What time is it? What time is it? Let's show the great guys. See some leave it. Spanish men are stripping. Here we go. Do not blink. Might miss something. Watch it! Watch it!
My name is Mark, aka Stowski, and I like dancing because of the fun. It's a fun art form, and it's like expressing something that we love to do.
Ah, there you go. Nice. Bring him in.
I like dancing on the train for a lot of reasons. One reason is that people just, it happens out of nowhere. We could get on the train, they might think that we're regular people just getting on the train, and then when we scream showtime and stuff, they're like, oh, they're about to perform. And I just love that most people like seeing us dance on the train. It's not all about the money. When you're dancing, it's not all about the money. It's about the culture and having fun at the end of the day. Because it's you can have money, but if you don't have soul and all that, then the money's not going to get you anywhere.
It is.
My name is Nasir, aka Break. I like dancing because all the cool moves that people do that we can learn and start to be like anyone we want. One reason I like dancing on the train because I got flip on the pole and I get to play around on the poles. and I dance.
It's like your playground, right?
Yeah.
Being from the South Bronx, I actually grew up watching people make something from nothing. Like, from being a young kid, I would watch the old lady sell ice cream from her house, or either the old lady selling like little patillos and stuff, or maybe even an old man on the corner selling books or old video games or whatever. But basically, I just grew up with watching the hustle mentality. So I use the train as a platform to actually do it for myself. Like, yeah, I do work, but in this type of economy and day and era, like, that still doesn't do anything for you. Like, it allows you to survive, but what you want to do with yourself, you're not able to do.
Yes, fuzz, and not be afraid to climb. Keep on doing this honest way. Keep starting to place it.
The courthouse is your house.
Best nation.
It's a donation.
Show your love.
That's right.
Yeah, any chance we're not kicking anybody, we'll be gladly appreciated.
If I had all the money in the world, I would still dance. Because it's like money comes and goes, especially in New York. A lot of places. Money, you can have money, spend it all in one place, and I would still dance because, like, let's say with that money, some of the money you could donate, some of the money you could keep for yourself, and then if you make more money, you can repeat.
I'm the dad of the two young men that are here with them dancing and performing in the streets and in the trains is a good way of networking and getting themselves out. We've landed opportunities like that, dancing on the subway or dancing in the streets. People seen us and seen them and was like, wow, who are these kids? And that's how we get future projects to do other things. So it's not just saying we're out here just trying to, make a dollar, but it's also selling themselves for other opportunities in life.
So there's actually more to us than actually performing on the subway. We do run a website. We also create our own merch. We do vlogs. We do video editing. But I already sold them. So I just got 5 today. Ready 3 gone. Only got 2 left. Should be flying like hotcakes. You know what I mean? Flying like hotcakes. But we're just a crew, a family of young men just trying to make something from nothing.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like a pressure thing.
So what I do use like my work money for is like just for me to survive as a human being, like just to live. And what I do use my dancing money for, it actually goes all back into the business. Like anything I do make from the train, it goes back into running the B-borough. So what I do invest majority of the money into is running the website alone. Like the website costs money just to run yearly, even just monthly, just to like sell merch and stuff on there. I also invest majority of the money in making hats or t-shirts or whatever. And some people ask, what do we do with the money that we get back with the t-shirts and hats? It actually goes into workshops that we do for kids or whatever that is actually free to the public. The space is not cheap, so that money goes towards that. Also providing like some sort of money towards the teachers that volunteer. Even though they volunteer, we try to give something back. And we actually give away free merch and free snacks and all this other stuff. So with the B-borough clothing line, we are able to fund free workshops and dance classes for kids who aren't able to pay for dance classes.
Put the hands in. Like a team. Ready? One. Come in. Don't worry. Don't be afraid for the camera. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hip hop.
The money can help them in different ways where if they got to enter a competition, that can help to that. Or if they want to get themselves something, but the main thing is to save the money for future projects and investing in themselves.
With the B-borough Rebels, we was capable of putting together a back-to-school event that we did in our local neighborhood. Also, we were able to do a Feed the Homeless event that actually was pretty dope. But the B-borough Rebels is just a collective of young men trying to do something, trying to be the change that they want to see in the world. The reason why I dance with the kids is to actually mentor them. Like, I do not teach the kids, but I do mentor them. Another thing is just to show them the way of life. Like, I grew up in the same thing that they're going through right now.
I got it though. I don't want to do it on the train though. I'm gonna kick them.
So I am employed, but the dream is to actually work for myself. No, I do not want to work for someone else. Like, the dream is to be able to run my own business and be able to focus on the BRIC Rebels and be able to inspire others to do just the same. Like, why work for someone else if you can work for yourself?
Thank you, folks. God bless. Have a safe trip. Yeah, gracias todo el mundo y Dios te bendiga. Yes, folks, keep in mind, we also do birthday parties, weddings, and divorces. Divorces are free. Ladies, think about it. It's not your fault. It is ours.
59th Street, Columbus Circle, train for Bubble 1 and leave it in the car.
Thanks for going in with us. The work has been our pleasure. If you want to check this episode out again, or any of the past episodes of Going In, you can always find us at our home on the web at youtube.com/BRIC TV. Bye now.